Yeah. Yes. I guess it's. Chaitanya, we are streaming live. We'll just wait for Naresh for a couple of more minutes to.
In the interest of time, you can start off and I can be able to see that. I'm just trying to log in from another device. There's some, I'm sorry, friends.
Chaitanya, we are good to start, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Rajni Das, HR Open House 1 CTM. A very warm welcome to everyone for our live. Hello, everyone. I'm Rajni Das from HR Open House 1, core team member. A very warm welcome to all of you who are there on our live panel discussion on the topic compensation benchmarking 2021-22 era of resignation. I would like to take this as an opportunity to thank all our panel members for taking out time from their busy schedule and highlight their thoughts on the topic. Few minutes to introduce our panel member, Dr. Deepak Deshpande, Senior Director, HR Entity India. Dr. Deepak has more than 25 years of experience in his tenure till date. He has been associated with multiple HR initiatives, and he's also associated with various CSR activities. It would be great to hear from you, sir, your thoughts on today's topic. Next, we have Mr. Prasad Kulkarni, Executive VP HR, CITCO. He has more than 20 years of experience and in all the fields of HR, be it complement, HRBP, or recruitment, and the list goes on. He also has experience in diverse domains, fintech, software, shared services, and once again, the list goes on. Next, on the discussion, we have Mr. Naresh Divi, Chief Growth Officer, who's Consulting Limited. Naresh has 18 plus years of experience in HR domain. Till date, he has mentored 1,000 plus HR professionals. Last but not the least, we have the person who is going to host today's discussion, Mr. Shashmat Godke, Associate Director, HR, SS&C Global Ops. He has more than 12 years of experience in the HR industry. This is about our panel and host in short. I would also like to thank our live audience who have come up for this, to be part of this discussion. Please post your queries on the chat window of Zoom and YouTube, and we will take it ahead to our panel member in the end of the discussion. Over to you, Shashmat.
Thank you, Rajni. A very warm welcome to all of you. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So here we are to discuss on a topic that is usually there in every HR leader's mind or HR professional's mind, but rarely discussed in an open forum. Compensation benchmarking 2021-22, the era of resignation. And we have some great thought leaders from the industry. Rajni just gave their introduction, and from that we can definitely say they have varied and diverse experience across different domains of HR, and they'll definitely help us contribute and share their ideas on this topic. I'd like to thank HR Open House 1 for giving us this opportunity to conduct and have such valuable conversations with industry leaders. HR Open House, popularly known as HROHO, is a 4-year-old community which is spread across 5 cities in India: Nagpur, Indore, Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. HROHO has already about 900 plus actively involved members. Okay. Coming to our topic today, okay, compensation benchmarking 2021, the era of resignation. Post-pandemic, we have seen increase in demand for services. New job roles are emerging. There are new products that have been developed. New clients have been added on. quarter and quarter, we see IT and other organization forecasting the great revenue numbers. This is on one side. Well, on the other side, there is employees who are reassessing their values, their priorities, and they're also actually evaluating the opportunities that they have at hand. And this is leading to a talent war. Okay, and we would be discussing on this talent war. Prasad, I would like to connect with you first. In terms of this attrition or the great resignation that has been called in the industry, how do you see this in terms of global as well as compared to India, global vis-a-vis India?
Okay, first of all, thank you everyone, and thanks HRO for inviting me over here. This is a very hot topic at this moment, or during the recent times as such. And unfortunately, there is no I would say one-stop solution as such. But it's good that we are discussing and we are trying to get the feedback. We are trying to get the different thoughts from the industry. So from an attrition point of view, as we all of know, the attrition has increased a lot in the recent times, and the reason could be different. Like the driving factors, for this attrition could be different, and those actually differ individual to individual depending upon the requirement, depending upon their expectations. But one thing is for sure that it has impacted, it has hit most of the industries globally. So if you see, whether it is BFSI, whether it is pharma, whether it is IT, I would say manufacturing, all the organizations are hit by this. And as I said, the reason could be different for different industries, and from globally as well. So there is a recent survey which was conducted, and there are being surveys conducted multiple organizations. So it seems that compared to 2020 and maybe early 21, the attrition has increased, say, around 1.5 to 2 times, and for some of the industries that has gone up to 3 times as well. And again, when we say attrition has increased, it means that at least there are 2 or 3 people in 10 who are leaving from the organization, or at least they are thinking of leaving the organization. This is a definitely high number when it comes to HR policies, HR processes. The reason being that whatever was defined, designed, agreed, and implemented, a year, couple of years back, or maybe few years back, that is not working out at this moment. So I think India again is not different than what is what we have seen from the global numbers. And India attrition has always been a kind of on a higher side because of multiple reasons. But these days, I think it has practically reaching to the new heights. And again, every industry within India as well, it's even if you are talking about the unorganized sector, there also you would have seen that say we are not getting all these labors in the unorganized sector, and that again is as I said, reason could be different. So, but yeah, every sector has been hit by this attrition, and that's the reason probably it is called as an era of great resignation, and everybody is struggling to cope up with this.
Thanks, Prasad. As you rightly pointed out, it's actually called era of great resignation. People are leaving. This organizations are actually facing attrition 1.5, 2 times, or even to 3 times to some extent. Okay, Dr. Deepak, why do you think this is this attrition, and why do you think in this era of resignation the numbers are so high? You'll have to unmute. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Sasmit. Why this resignation? Right? So,
Yes, sir.
Karma. It's all karma, because we need, as an organization, as a company, we have done things, whatever we did, good, bad, ugly, whatever we did, right? So I don't think great resignations will continue. They will happen. They have been happening. कोई नई चीज नहीं है. It's just somebody puts social media में great resignation. This has been ongoing. And sadly, to COVID last 2 years, I think we have had challenges. Companies took care, and also individuals got jobs. Just imagine, 2 साल घर पे बैठने के लिए तुमको सैलरी मिल रहा है, तुम घर में बैठ. So it's all karma. I think I'll leave it at this. Attrition, I should be worried about. It's going to happen. We have to only see how companies can scale up, how they can manifest, how they can grow, how can they be innovative and creative to address this challenge. I think I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, attrition is, some amount of attrition is always a good attrition. Naresh, coming to you, do you think, what are the challenges when you talk about small and medium enterprises? Do you see similar kind of challenges? Do you think the attrition numbers, even in small and medium enterprises, are quite high during this era of resignation?
See, it's a bubble, right? So when the bubble has been there, so as long as the bigger seen outside, so they need to have the larger players at least have the money power and the kind of a brand power to attract talent from wherever it is. But when it comes to SMEs and the kind of small IT companies, if I refer, they are the ones who are hitting badly because of whatever is happening in the industry. And unfortunately, the solution is like that they are trying to even further downscale their quality to pick up some people who because they just wanted a body to be there to help them out. So they are actually degrading a little bit to make sure they are manning the project which are coming in, and by losing some of the average players. And I maybe when conversation happening more, I can discuss more about the kind of companies that have been doing little more innovative way to do it. But in a large, if I say that 99% of the SMEs had hit very, very badly because of whatever is happening right now. And it's a very, very right catchment spot for larger companies to pick people because they are facing the issue. At the same time, back end, I'm sure like the kind of effort that HR is going through this SME world, it's humongous, I can say that.
Well, it's actually kind of a paradox where the brand names are blaming, for lack of better word, the SMEs for giving exorbitant hikes, giving exorbitant raises, whereas the SMEs are saying that the brand names are taking in talent in large numbers. So that I think that is the kind of scenario that will always be there. Dr. Deepak, again, coming back to you, when you said there is attrition, it's good attrition, and how do you arrest this attrition? Because if we just look at the numbers, the articles that have been out there in any of the big brand newspapers, last year 2021 we had good raises. In 2022, the raise projections are such that it is it's better than last 5 years. Okay, but still at some point in time, the candidate or a job seeker is looking for a better opportunity, a better prospect. So I mean, are candidates becoming greedy, or are organizations not able to help them out?
That's a great question, I think. Wonderful question. I'll be very honest here. I'll say, I will say, why would anybody leave you? Why would anybody leave you? Leave you is the simple answer there is, कहीं ना कहीं उसको कुछ ना कुछ हुआ होगा. So I think we should not, and also as a company, have we violated the basic norms of life? Life, fairness, transparency, open. When our people see that there's an opportunity, दुनिया तो एकदम बहुत अच्छा है. All the people pursue and that's fine. Right? So kahin na kahin, I think as a HR people, I think we are as an organization, HR is just a face. We are just a face. But the larger message is from the top management. What kind of policies, what kind of thing they are driving, I think that is the larger message is that. So sometimes I feel, end of all the years that I have worked in HR, I feel that per se, from the top, what is the message you want to drive? Having said that, I don't want to discount the individual power we as HR people have. You won't believe, Susmit, that we as individual, we have immense power and empowerment. We have to feel as a HR person. If you are really married to HR profession, let me tell you, we can do a lot of things and we should do that. जाके कहीं होगा नहीं वो और बात है, लेकिन simple is हमको करना चाहिए, करना भी चाहिए. हम कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे. There is no bureaucracy, there's nothing involved. That we have to do that. I think attrition will happen. वो तो होना है, but is your TA team robust to support that kind of attrition? Yes. So I don't want to even worry. Business wants business, right? So आपका talent acquisition जो team है, are they hiring the enough number of people? Are they having the sourcing ability to source? Do they have people who are hiring managers who will make the interview? So I think घर की बात है, अंदर की बात है. We have to do our own job well. So don't have to worry about that. I'll leave it at that.
So you rightly mentioned it is basically what is flowing from, or what is the philosophy that management has, and what have been the thoughts of top management. And right now we see that a lot of management has been actually looking at this issues of attrition and monitoring retention very closely. Most of the organizations are actually even getting involved into doing this compensation survey. They are tying up with third-party agencies for compensation survey. Prasad, what do you think? Why organizations right now in this era of resignations actually want to do this compensation survey? How will it help, actually help?
Yeah. So compensation surveys or benchmarking is nothing different, to all of us. We have been doing it for ages. The only thing is that the way these are probably being conducted as of now is mostly because of the anxiety or the pressure, kind of a peer pressure, what you are like, the other industry, other companies doing, so I should also do that and have that data instead of looking internally. So it's like something, the peer pressure we actually create on our children that, the kid of the neighbor is doing this and, studying this, and why you're not doing. So similar kind of a pressure is getting built up, which is probably not required, right? But that is what it is at this moment. But more than that, and what we do as a benchmarking, typically what we do is that, we just relatively compare our salaries or compensation with the market. And again, that too, what we do is that we collect the data, we get a median, and then we again compare ourselves with that median. That is how typically it does. Now, while we do so, is it really required? And where do we want to stand as a part of the market? So do we want to be at a P65? Do we want to be at a P90 or at a median or P25? That is more important, because that is defined by the capacity of the organization. See, what will happen is that you may get into this and as an organization, and then you may actually do some of the correction, which is called as market correction, market adjustment, and all that. But that's going to be a permanent liability of the organization. Is it really sustainable for the organization for a long time? So that is what we'll have to look into. So doing a compensation survey or getting this data is not bad. How do you utilize that? That is more important, right? So having that data in your hand you know that where do you stand in the market, what is your capacity in terms of spending the money for your employees, in terms of, again, maintaining the bottom line as such. So I think that personally, I feel that that is just one way to look at it, and there are multiple other factors. And rightly, Dr. Deepak was talking about is like, just you'll have to look internally, and find out what is that. Say, is it a toxic culture? Do we have some toxic managers in the organization? Is it kind of a job security which the employees are actually afraid of? Is it a kind of a lack of recognition in the organization? Should we do something about that? Is it something we were not able to focus in a better way during the COVID for the employee well-being or the health of the employee? Or is it that the flexibility for our employees, we were not able to do that? Because see, I'll tell you what has happened is that in the recent past, and the whole topic is, I would say, for the recent past, which is around 1 to 2 years, and the whole period has been a pandemic year, period. So during that, how the organizations have actually responded to the COVID-19 situations, how they have responded to their employees' needs, is defining many of these factors. So compensation is just one area of that. Obviously, it is driving. But again, that is one area, and as Naresh said, that it is a bubble and it's going to burst after maybe a year or two max. It's not going to get continued for a long period of time, and that is how it happens typically. If you see, there are all these kind of trends or new things which come in HR, they stay there for a year or 2 or 3 years, and then again something new comes up, right? So I think that we will have to look from a more sustainable solution point of view rather than just running behind these surveys and getting the data. And again, as I said, that it's good to have that data, but immediately getting into corrections of the salaries and all that. So I think we will have to use our minds and brains appropriately when we actually collect this data and utilize it.
Thank you, Prasad. Naresh, I see you agreeing with Prasad. And so how much do you rely on this compensation surveys? Or if I have to put it like, if there is an organization that says, okay, I've been able to sustain at 25 percentile, though there is attrition right now, I would still like to continue my market position to be at a 25 percentile. What would you have to say about it?
So I was just laughing and then nodding because I was getting the Sharma Ji Kya Beta dialogue when Prasad was saying about taking over the neighbors. So I think the industry is about like that, like where we have this Sharma Jis which have been there outside, which we don't even know. And the compensation trends and the surveys definitely will understand Sharma Ji jo bol rahe hai, is it like really the way that is being there, at least to authenticate whether what is being seen is right or no. I think the surveys and the trends definitely give that value around it. While answering your question, Jashmit, there are two aspects. One aspect is more on the authenticity, because I'll just go one step back and then also talk about. So as an organization, we've been doing compensation trends and analysis for a long time. So as an organization, Hughes, we've been doing compensation trends for a very long time. Over the last, I think before the COVID started and all, the entire dip in such kind of inquiries, because industry was talking about job losses, job cuts, then they were like completely there and all this thing. But all of a sudden, within a year span, they started looking at, okay, I don't have a shortage of talent. I want more people, and I wanted greedy about no number and all. So over a period of time, last 6 months, we have seen at least 15 times more inquiries that we are getting as an organization. Hey, we wanted to know what's happening in the benchmarking with the look like. And I think very, very differently, even a non-IT companies have been scoring very high on making them understand, okay, what's happening outside. Okay, the trend is so much that they wanted to know, because there's a tremendous pressure, as I said, for us known companies or a better brand companies or a large companies towards smaller companies, and name it. Even if you recall, there's some kind of a company which are very heavily funded companies also. Even a billion, the unicorn companies have approaching saying that, hey, we want to do a compensation benchmarking survey. So you can imagine the kind of pressure that they would have been there when such a kind of a trend is being asked for. And Second is the 25 percentile that you're talking about against 100 percentile. When the 100 itself is moved into 1,000 now, you getting the pole is shifted there. So even if you wanted to benchmark 25 percentile, it will be like almost like you're almost 4 times, almost like 100 percentile of the original pre-COVID times. So I'm sure like that is something which the organizations are thinking a lot on, looking at if the data is saying that if it is not 100 to 1,000, it is moved off, and I am at XYZ category, how far more that I can be able to stretch within the constraint of my own profitability and the revenue stream that I'm getting as an organization. That is one area. Second area is if I am not able to match to that percentile for that reason, and the natural attrition is going to happen, what is that funnel that I'm going to replace it? Whether with thanks to COVID, that at least I'm able to far fetch with the tier 2, tier 3, tier 3, 4 cities to see that I'm able to engage the talent and who are like little not in the bubble of the exponential hikes and salaries that have been there. And the whole problem may be coming later, but definitely the immediate solution that people are looking at, how am I going to a tier 3 and tier 4 cities to have the people there in that kind of location and invest that amount of money that I would have otherwise spent on talent into the trading or any kind of infrastructure support for them, so that I'm able to balance my ecosystem of number that I have at this point of time. And as Prasad was saying, the bubble may not last for long, but at least till that I have to survive as an organization. So this is something other alternative strategies are coming up for us small companies that we actually work with.
Yeah, I agree with you, Naresh. I think the organizations are heavily investing into IT and infrastructure. And like you and Prasad both alluded to the balance sheet and profitability aspect of the organization. So, Dr. Deepak, let me ask you a very blunt question here. Would you be able to afford a compensation benchmarking for 100% of your workforce?
No. I mean, we are absolutely, I mean, I will be the, I should, बात ही नहीं है. We can't. I mean, what are we trying to here defend these things? I think business is different. And HR, as a HR person, I think we have for a long time, I feel, seriously, you know, Smith, मुझे लगता है, I think we have lost the spirit. The day we realized it's all about business. It's all about, you know, you and me, and it's all about survival. That is the day I think HR will actually do a wonderful job. I mean, so great points from Naresh and even Prasad-ji, उन्होंने जो कहा, absolutely, I endorse that, whatever they said. Having said that, end of the day, when I ring the bell, you know, घर पे आता हूँ, that is, I think we have to lot of mind mining. We should also do a lot of where as HR we can add value to the business, not to HR as a profession. I have seen so many times, and HR is so boxed in. HR के लिए करना है, वो नहीं है. Reality is that we have to actually support the business, because we are in business of people, process, productivity. We are in that business. So we can't be shying away from the basic rule of the game. So I think I absolutely, Prasad ji ne jo bola, Naresh ne bola, I think they're all full on. I support that. But the day we realize and we do that, we can do much better as a.
But then, sir, again, this business will chase HR when the top performers also start leaving. So, in terms of top performers, if they are getting better opportunities outside, is it a time for us to actually reevaluate or review our compensation structures?
I'm so glad, Susmiti, you asked this question. It's a great question again. I'm so happy that you asked that question. It's simple. You know, 80% of the people in the company, they are just like, only the company runs with 20% or maybe, 10% of the people. Baki log janta janardhan hai. So we have to take care of those people, but you can't tell them that. But you have to do certain things you have to do. And it's a make-believe world. I'm sorry to say that, but I think मुझे लगता है कि we have to take care of those top performers. Parity, compensation, ये तो मतलब वो होगा ही नहीं, होना भी नहीं चाहिए, हो ही नहीं सकता. It cannot happen at all. It's like, HR is very beautiful. I mean, I really admire those organizations say differentiated compensation. क्या है? They have found a rule to reward somebody. पहली बार you have said that it should be a benchmark, blah 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 blah. आपने कर दिया. उसके बाद you found a way to differentiated benchmark. What is that called? There's something, another word, phrase that they use, star performer, fast track. I mean, we have absolutely screwed up the whole thing. The reality is that I think we have mixed up a lot of things as a HR professional, not HR as HR, more organizations. हमने कहीं ना कहीं गलती किया है. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah. Again, taking this topic of top performers to Prasad as well. We see, Dr. Deepak was talking about fast track, star performers, creating disparity when it comes to top performers. Okay, and this is a disparity that I would like to talk about with you. We see that this fast trackers, top performers get accelerated career progression. Okay, they have been promoted just to retain them. Okay, just to have them in the organization, just to please them. Managers go behind them, they promote them, they give them accelerated career progression. But when these top performers are at a certain level and they start comparing their compensation with the peers in the industry, they are not satisfied with it.
Yeah. So again, it's not only about top performers at high level, at a senior level, or when they get promoted, but any top performer, if that individual is practically trying to put all the efforts for whatever work he or she is actually performing, he or she would expect few things from the organization, because it is typically, we always say that it has to be a win-win situation. There is always a give and take and kind of a thing. So the important factor is that we need to understand that what that individual is expecting from the organization. Is it only the higher salary? Obviously, that is, I always say that is always one of the driver, but it's not the only driver. This is the biggest, difference you will have to keep in mind. But if that's the case, then what are the other drivers? And that is what we will have to look into it, because even if we are looking from a total rewards point of view, compensation always is one just aspect of the total rewards. And what else is there as a part of total reward? Because at one point in time, all these top performers at any level would really think of, is it only compensation which I'm looking for, or is there something else? And what that something else is that giving them pride, in what they are doing. And this pride or this, more engagement with the organization, with what they are doing, can be through multiple ways. Say, for an example, giving them special projects, making them exposed to some of these, highly profiled projects or any, activity as such, where they get exposed, their visibility is more than compared to others. Apart from that, making them part of the decisions where they can see that what work they are doing, what decisions were actions they are taking are directly getting implemented, and that is impacting a positive impact on the organization. Because at one point in time, it's mental satisfaction or the pride which should drive apart from the compensation. So I think there are multiple ways. Compensation, again, when we are talking about salary as, so there are, again, you would typically call it a fixed compensation, then you have variable compensation, then you have other factors as the benefits and perks, and then you have retention bonus and all that. So you will have to really think of all of those, and not only one way saying that, okay, your salary is this, which is monthly or annually this, or is a fixed compensation. And that's one way of retaining them, but at the same time creating a career path where they enjoy it more than we as an organization, we are just providing them as a next level role. And this is, again, we always look in our homes is when we talk about our children, and we say that, okay, you have to do this, but do we really care that what their kid wants to do or what that kid's passion is? So I think it's always we will have to tie up these two things, and when we do that, the productivity is higher and the engagement is also higher, and that is how probably the retention will be higher.
Yeah, rightly said, Prasad, because compensation is an external factor, which, it is not the only factor that can drive drive motivation. And it's believed that top performers are motivated within. They have a sense of achievement, and that sense of achievement can be fueled through projects and giving them good opportunities in the organization. Naresh, even if we leave the top performer, there would be again a 60-70% of the workforce that would be hungry, that will always have this mindset of dil mange more. Okay, what can we do about them? Compensation is a good thing. If you cannot benchmark the compensation, what are the other things that you have in your mind, or probably some things that you have implemented in your current or previous organizations that has helped your retention?
It is two things. One will be more of the intent of the organization, what it can create, that the feeling that they are important, the message that if the organization can create that message of, hey, you are the important resource for the organization. And second is, how are you able to engage them with a very, very right set of engaging works, engaging environment, and engaging encouragement that you are trying to do. Because we have very, very nice examples of companies which are very, very small, not heavily funded. They are not paying the best of the salaries too. But the way that they are growing and the way that they have been able to help those youngsters, I'm not talking about the people who are like very, say, above 30s, that organization, all are below 25 people, 25 age group. And that is very, very notorious in terms of, when I say notorious, are the ones who are a big ones that you wanted to jump and then go to the next one immediately within 2 months, 3 months kind of a thing. Even in spite of that, the belongingness that the CEOs and the leadership can be able to do to make them feel that they're the part of a company, they're growing along with the company, that's something can always make those 60-70% what you are talking about. I'll not say 100% still be there, but at least a good size of people would stay on and make the company grow better, is what I feel maybe the answer for you.
Thanks, Naresh. I think you have rightly summarized it. Just one thing, like when throughout this discussion, we understood that compensation is not the only thing that can help employees, or attrition is a good attrition, and attrition will happen. We cannot arrest attrition. Definitely, we can try to arrest attrition to some extent, but attrition will continue to happen. So in this current scenario where the organizations are finding it difficult to close positions, the positions have been open for quite some time. The cost of hiring is high, the cost of getting a new resource is high, the cost of workforce in general in India is increasing. Dr. Deepak, do you think organizations would be looking at other potential markets like Indonesia, Vietnam, Manila, or even probably filling up this roles in their homeland? Because India has again looked at kind of a production center or a development center. Do you think if they are getting a similar kind of a resource at a similar cost back in their homeland, they would prefer that compared to giving business to India?
That's a very, very interesting question, actually, Susmit. I think And that's a wonderful question you asked. I actually want to Naresh का आपने जो सवाल पूछा था, it was a great question. And I think he has brilliantly answered that. But this question is it's a transdental बोलते हैं ना. It's a wonderful question. हो सकता है. If we don't get our act together, Prasad ji also will agree with me that I think it's a transcendental question. I think if we don't get our act together, I think that's going to happen. We have seen it. End of the day, it's a business. Why should HR even think like, they are coming from some kind of, mantra mil gaya unko. Sometimes I feel that HR is, they're so integrated with the business, they're so responsible, they're so important, and they're so critical and strategic to business. But sometimes I feel that HR has failed to connect with the business reality. Reality क्या है? मेरा तुम्हारा घर. End of the day, I have to pay the bills. HR को छोड़ो, company छोड़ो. And all I'm saying is, मेरा घर का सोचो. I think we have failed that whatever principles and approaches and everything we apply in real life, we have failed to apply in corporate, where I work. I mean, where you and me work, I mean, all HR professionals, I think we have failed to, we don't do the same sensitivity, same empathy, same understanding, same, compassion to business. वो नहीं हुआ है. Because we have taken as HR professionals to, pick up certain things which helps us to make glorified, state. So to answer to your question, I think it's a wonderful question. I think we must do that.
Great, sir. Thank you for answering that, and that was a wonderful answer. With this, I would like to open up for question and answers. In case you have any questions, you can just write in the chat box. You want to raise or probably raise your hand. We'd like to take up your questions. And till the time we have any question, this is an open question to all of you in the panel. In the current landscape where we are just moved out of a global pandemic, and we are looking at a geopolitical issue, what do you think? What would be the future for workforce? Where do you think this great attrition, the great resignation, or the new word that has been coined, the great reshuffle, how long do you think it will last? Or again,
yes, that's a brilliant question. You know something, you won't do this. Sorry to Naresh and Prasad ji, I'm sorry to butt in there. I live in Mumbai. So up to just yesterday, the government issued a notification saying that you can work to full capacity. मैं कल रात में आया था, तो till then it was like a 40% or 30% capacity. We have, like hundreds of thousands of people working in offices. The real challenge is walk the talk for HR people. Are people willing to work from hybrid model, full capacity? You open the office, doesn't mean that they have to endure 5 hours. I asked my CEO, I asked my MD today, are we willing to ask people to come to office? 5 घंटे वो मर के आएगा, वो ही काम करेगा जो घर में बैठ के कर सकता है, और तुमको शिकायत नहीं थी 2 साल तक. ऐसे दुगले, these are such a nonsense thing that is happening now. I think life is beautiful. Nature is amazing. They will make people think and think double कि भैया ये क्या हो रहा था. सालों साल तुमने हमको वहां पे बुलाया, वो काम करा हम जो घर में बैठे हुए कर सकते थे, वहां आने के लिए हमने 5 साल दिए। आज लोग सोचेंगे, so any company that is saying no, you have to come to office, they are going to die. Let me, I don't want to be professor there, मरेंगे वो लोग ऐसे बेतुकला, एकदम बेहुदा ऐसे एक्सपेक्टेशंस है। एक्चुअली तो बोलेंगे ना वी शुड बी इंटीग्रेटेड, क्या इंटीग्रेशन क्या भैया, एवरीथिंग इज वर्किंग, नो वी हैव टू मीट पीपल, कुछ नहीं है, सब हो रहा है। I'm so glad you asked that question. I leave it at that. Thank you so much.
I mean, great thoughts, Dr. Deepak, and you actually have touched on one of those issues. I think this is one of the issues that can be taken up in next HRO forums regarding work from home, the hybrid model, working from office. Okay, Prasad, Naresh, your thoughts in the current scenario?
I think word Prasad, you what to say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think if we are to predict what's going to happen and when this entire thing happens, I am sure like I will have the most highest paid remuneration by now. So if I am able to predict that, leaving that in a joke aside, as it is very clear, evident that any bubbles which have been there, whether it is a Great Resignation or maybe like before the Great Recession or before anything else which have been negative or positive, are something which doesn't last long. That's the only thing that I have. And when I say long doesn't mean, maybe I mean it's about 1 year or 2 years maximum. But till then, the fishes who have been in the market, the kind of an activities which have been there, they will not dry up. They definitely go into the, if one fish is not being able to survive one pond, then definitely they go into another one. And ultimately the survival of the fittest is what going to be the ultimate key story. So that's where the dynamism of the CEOs, the kind of business leaders come in very, very essential. And second is more able to look at the pandemic which has been there. I'm sure like the people who are actually not going with the money is one area, or maybe going with money is one area, but how much that they actually leverage the time of travel, the time of activities to upskill themselves for the future. Because the kind of a talk that we are talking now, maybe if we are doing the same thing again 2 years, the 2 years is more about the job losses that happen because they have not upgraded themselves to meet what is going to happen. I'm sure like any of the transactional level jobs that people are doing right now, including coding, testing, whatever XYZ, or a very, very high-end HR tasks people are doing, everything would be managed by a bots much more efficiently than humans, period. So the shift will definitely go into the next level. And that's where the whole energy will go in terms of, we talk about more about how are we going to utilize the existing manpower in a better ways. That I'm sure that will be itself is a bigger topic to be discussed and then debated. So that's my answer for you, Shashwat.
Thanks, Naresh.
Smith, can I add something?
Sure, sir.
See, friends, I think Naresh has touched a very umbilical point. He has touched a very important part about, see, I mean, the way the life is evolving today for HR, and generally I'm saying, life is evolving, so amazing. We have to learn new skills. There are two, digitization and digitalization. That they are going to make our life change so much. आपको पता ही नहीं चलेगा कैसे हो गया, कहां से कहां, ये कहां हो गया है ऐसा आपको मतलब it's that kind of situation. I think Naresh has touched the, we have to learn, relearn and unlearn a lot of skills, new skills. And by the way, the good news is people are scared that AI and ML will reduce jobs. Actually not. Actually, they are creating 100 times multiplier, more jobs. And you know what? Based on our own personal skills, emotion, social skills में amazing opportunities we have. So don't have to worry. End of the day, हमको देखना है कि मैं ये तो मैं कर सकता हूँ. तो आपको पता है आपने किया नहीं, आपको पता ही नहीं था कि भाई वो मैं कर. I have been doing that, and that's a great news. So I think I go with Naresh. Very said.
Rightly, we'll have to reskill, upskill, and that's the need of the hour actually. If we have to survive and if we have to grow. Prasad, there's one question for you. You were talking about total compensation. If you can just highlight more on that, what can be part of total compensation and how can total compensation be effective to retain employees?
Yeah, so there are these two concepts, obviously, total compensation, and then we are talking about total rewards. So in total compensation, you can think of the fixed compensation, which is typically, your monthly salary divided by 12. In India, in other countries, it could be different. And, over and above that, then you have your performance bonus or you have variable pay, which are there. Plus, there could be some perks or benefits which can be added over and above that, depending upon the industry, depending upon the organization and their policies. And plus, what you can do is that, and I would tackle this issue in a way where, I will categorize people into three areas. So one is that, employees who are critical in their roles for the organization. Okay, so that is very important that they are critical for the organization and not critical to themselves. Okay, so critical for the organization. The second is that good to have. So we need to retain them, but if they leave, it's not going to create a major challenge. And third is that if somebody leaves, that is fine. We can get a replacement or we can still manage somehow till the time, we get a replacement. So if we categorize these people and accordingly, if you create your, programs, it would help. And for the critical people, then you need to define that what are the other ways where you can retain them, whether it is a retention bonus, retention allowance, and in the current situation, what I have heard, what I have observed is that as per the earlier days, nobody is ready to wait for 3 or 5 or 10 years. Like typically we used to have LTI, long-term incentive program, where, we will give something after 3 years, after 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. People don't wait. They said, what am I getting in this year and next year? That's the max I can think of, I can wait for. So maybe short-term programs, because again, this is going to, come down. This is going to get resolved maybe in a year or two. So short-term programs where we have some retention bonus or kind of a thing. All these can be part of your total compensation. And over and above that, there would be other areas where you look up to what are the other policies of the organization, be it for career growth, be it for your performances, the flexibility you are providing to the employees, the kind of focus you have, for the well-being of the employees and the health of the employees. All these things definitely matter, and all of that will, learning opportunities, all will be part of your total reward. So I think a whole bunch can be created, and more than that, I see one of the major issue is that we do not communicate back to the employees. We have most of these things in place, but we do not communicate well, not from a cost point of view. It's not that, we are spending this much of, in the learning, we are spending this much on this and that, more than how it is useful for them, how they can actually grab those opportunities and make themselves better, because we have been talking that, we need to reskill, we need to upskill, but how? So is organization really ready or, creating that infrastructure for their employees to get them reskilled, get them upskilled, and after that, what are again there opportunities for those employees to work in the same organization in some different roles? If that's not been there, then the whole discussion itself is actually fertile, right? So all this will be part of your total rewards, and that needs to be looked into. And apart from that, I would say that there are multiple other factors, like, you should have a open, transparent communication with your employees. That is one of the important factor. And I think many organizations, not many, but at least there are a few organizations who failed during the COVID-19 period. And that is one of the reasons probably, employees see that the organization is not transparent, not clear. We don't know where this organization is going, what are the decisions the management is taking, and it's really unclear, confusing kind of a thing. be it related to, retrenchment, be it related to salary reduction, or whatever, the decisions were taken, wherever those decisions were well informed in advance, were clearly, transparently communicated back to the employees, I think the employees took it in a better way than the other organizations, and they still probably would say that, okay, we know that why it was taken and all those things. So there are multiple factors, and all those, if we club together, I think definitely that would help.
Yep, Prasad beautifully answered, and I think you've covered most aspects of total compensation and total rewards. And I agree to most of it, and especially the part where we have to reward performance rather than tenure. And I think we have a couple of questions in the chat as well, which the first question that I would like to take: how do you manage candidates asking for high raises? Any tips? Dr. Deepak, Naresh, if anyone would like to pick up this question.
We're just exchanging our eyesight just to see that who is answering that. Maybe I'll just pick up that perspective from a very different thing. The only question that you need to ask as an hiring manager or a CEO, maybe like maybe their person, how important that role the person is for my organization. And the metrics, if the person is not being there at that particular rate that they're asking for, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Your answer is that, okay, your organization completely don't exist, or maybe you have a tremendous loss than what you're paying to them, then probably you may need to have those kind of person in-house, irrespective of what is going to happen. But second, if it is like the answer is no, that okay, we can actually still survive as an organization, even though candidate is not being their organization, and you are able to sustain, then definitely is not a right fit that you can increase so much of salary or maybe the kind of a thing just because you know tick mark your hiring number. Maybe probably you should not do that mistakes of just to fill your numbers. Don't try and then increase the numbers just because the candidates are asking. Maybe that's my straight answer.
Yeah. The other factor, what I would say is that, and what Naresh said is exactly right. And the other area is that if you get the candidate with the higher salary within your organization, what kind of a disparity you are creating, for the similar roles, and that is very critical because we may hire one person and we may lose 2 to 3 people because of that disparity. So I think what are you gaining after giving this high salary to this candidate should be depending on the criticality of that role, how that role is going to contribute in the in the organization for the success of the organization, and at the same time how it is going to create whether it is positive or a negative impact for the rest of the employees within the organization.
Can I take that? I think Prasad ji, aap boliye.
Yeah. The other thing is that, and we always, we have been saying that, this is going to be for a short period of time. And I don't know, if you remember, maybe a few years back, specifically in the IT industry, or even it happens, now as well, that, there are new technologies, there are new softwares, or, all these programs come in. And then there is a kind of, demand and supply kind of a challenge. And that time, then the organization actually go for a kind of a 20%, 30%, 50%, 100% premium, on the salaries. But that lasts for a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years. And after that, what happens is that because the whole, everything is evolving so much that you will have something after maybe 2, 3 years, and that becomes a hot topic of the, town. And then these people, mostly, if you see, they are actually at, stagnated, or probably then we don't need these people, and then you have to then actually, ask them to leave because they are at a higher salaries, but their need for their organization is less. So this is a kind of a circle, and we have to keep that in mind as an organization, as a candidate, as well as an employee also. So this is what, I would say.
Such a farce, I think. Prasad ji, aapne ekdam, I think you have said it all. Such a farce. The salary benchmarking, compensation bands, such a farce. ऐसे हमको मिलते हैं I mean, we have asked to implement so many violations which are riding against the self-defense. इतना झूठ, इतना मतलब भैया I'll go to बिहार, मैं तो बिहार जाऊंगा. इतने जब तक दुकान चलने के लिए जो करना है वो करते हैं. HR is only the facade. हमको आगे करके वो करवाते हैं. ठीक है. So let us, I mean, I don't want to sound very despotic, very negative, but having said that, but let us realize we can transform a lot of people. काफी लोगों का influence के लिए we can, and we should do that.
Just one last question that I would like to take that is there in the chat box. So when we understand the majority of industry is gearing up for gig workforce, how you feel reward and compensation is going to take the workforce forward? Dr. Deepak, if you can just throw some light on this question.
Reward, आप देखिए, you will be, I mean, certainly glad I asked my CFO. No, CFO, I mean, I said, भैया, we are going to get a new labor code अभी आने वाला है, उसका impact क्या हो? हमने उनको बताया, भैया आप बताइए, you tell me what is the rewards, the new labor code, which is going to be implemented now. I think the government has already announced, भैया, it is going to be there. So it will be, we asked him, and you will be surprised, Susmit, that there's so many, everything we have to change, the way we work. Because entity is a huge organization, 3 lakh employees across more than 200 countries. India we are huge, but it's going to have a huge associations, therefore impact. So we asked that question to him. To answer to your question is going to be a nightmarish. Sometimes I feel HR is there. It's like we are like mother. We are like mother. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you acknowledge everybody that we are like mother function. सब जानते हैं लेकिन कुछ कर नहीं पाते हैं, कुछ कर सकते हैं. प्रसाद जी भी वीडियो आइए, प्रसाद जी आइए. So we are like that. We are a help. I think my recently, I said 2 months ago, a month ago, we said, oh, I'm the CEO of entity India. Yes. So, so we have to do all. I think we're all with such people. I think he is there to support and there to do whatever we can do. But end of the day, as HR people, HR is not about only HR within the company, within the community, within your society, within your region. Please do something, because you won't believe. I'm a Rotarian. I have found a lot of my joys and happiness outside of organization than within my organization. My organization is doing very well in terms of supporting the, but uske baad bhi 100 times हमने किया. So all the HR people, I appeal to anybody on the call, I appeal to you, please realize and go beyond community. You can help huge.
Definitely, sir. As HR professionals, we are born leaders. We are leaders for our organization to drive change, and we should start with that. It was really a great thought, and it was really great connecting with Prasad, Naresh, Dr. Deepak. I think we had a wonderful conversation, wonderful discussion. I think we've covered a lot of aspects, starting from compensation benchmarking, the relevance of it, the myth behind the compensation benchmarking.
कर ही नहीं सकते. नरेश जी, let me tell you, वो कर ही नहीं सकते, उनकी औकात ही नहीं है, उनकी बात लगी हुई है. By the way, let me tell on the topic. आज भी डेलॉट का एक सर्वे है 9%. तुम रुकोगे?
Average salary raises.
Hell, to go with the hell. You know what I mean? नरेश जी, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये एकदम इतना बेतुका बहुला, what I say, bullshit.
But at the same time, sir, even if we are not able to do compensation benchmarking to 100% workforce, still we have some better options that we have discussed today. Some suggested by you, Prasad here, who came up with the total compensation, total rewards, like Naresh also suggested, and the things that we can do to retain our current workforce, especially the top performers, the top 10-20% of our workforce that you have.
Exactly. 80-20 rule. Just take care of those 20% of people. Baki Janta Janardhan, you go to UP and you will find the answer.
Thank you to all. With that, we would just like to end our session. And before we end it, Dr. Deepak, since we have you in midst of us, we would like you to hum to few lines for us. I mean,
yeah, we would like to hear it from you because we know that you have been a very good singer by yourself, and then we also acknowledge maybe once your song is there, I think we can have some kind of acknowledgement to people who have been at least known to us. So over to you, Deepak sir.
Yeah, I thought he's मस्ती कर रहा था. Anyways, I think I would love to sing. Singing is, by the way, one of my last messages would be to please pursue your hobbies. Writing ho, singing ho, musician ho, jo bhi, please pursue your wonderful. And I think singing has really helped me big time to overcome all the bullshit the corporate world has offered me. Aram se, asani se. Anyway, so that's for Naresh. You have to look at me, darling. That's fine. तुम हो तुम्ही हो सनम मेरे हमराज सनम मेरे हमराज भूल न जाना दूर न जाना वो जाने जाना प्यार निभाना तुम हो तुम्ही हो सनम हमराज. That's the song.
I'm actually relating that to the same singing by I think your wonderfully song and apt for the moment, because most of the HR people will relate that the same song they will play for the candidate to come because they are the sanams for them at this point of time.
Yeah.
It's
a beautiful song, but for all the lovers, I want to sing one more line. One more for all the lovers. From the movie Divana. Nataji, are you ready to listen to this?
Yes.
अब आंखों में अब नहीं आते, अब तो पलकों में तुम समाए हो, हर घड़ी साथ साथ रहते हो, दिल की दुनिया में घर बसाए हो, दिल की दुनिया में घर बसाए हो, जान हम तुमको प्यार इतना करते हैं, ऐसा नम हम तो सिर्फ से प्यार. That's for Ketan and the group. Wonderful work that they're doing. Amazing work. Guys, you are doing amazing work.
Thank you all. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. Thank you, HRO. for organizing this. We had a lovely discussion today. Thank you all.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
all the supporters
Thank
for
you,
being
everyone.
there.
Prasad ji,
And
thank
then,
you so much.
yeah,
Kunal ji,
thank you so much for
much.
that thing.
And-
So see you soon again with a wonderful topic again. And
Yeah.
thank you, Rajni, for hosting this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panel
Oh,
members. Thank you, sir.
madam, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inputs to all the panel member and sir for the song that you sang for all our live audience.
Ketan will not leave me. I mean,
No, that's like a Saturday evening songs, right? So we have to have.
he is